Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike! All right, we're rolling. Tonight's episode 17 of Gridiron Grinder. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. We're going to be providing our weekly NFL team power rankings and game picks. How's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. It's been a week, but it's Friday, so it's over.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm a little bit pissed. Not only did you even the score with the game picks, but you beat me in fantasy football last week. I don't know, man. I got you earlier in the season, so I guess we're all evened up now.
Yeah, well, I kind of had some luck going in. Although you had Murray on Monday night, I started Herbert as my quarterback.
Yeah, both our quarterbacks tore it up this past week, man. From fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, in real life. Fantasy and real life, but yeah. All right, so why don't we let's talk about the games just briefly from this past week. So, we're obviously huge Detroit fans. My opinion, even though you picked them to win and I picked Atlanta, basically they were handed a gift by Todd Gurley. I don't know, man. I didn't think they deserved to win that game. I've been hoping that they would lose, so they'll fire Patricia. It just sucks because they got a super soft schedule now, minus the Colts game, which I still think they'll win that game. But I don't know. Looks like we're stuck with Patricia for a while. What'd you think?
Well, I think like especially after seeing like the NFL films because they had like mic'd up, so they had the huddle right before the Gurley play where
Yeah.
Ryan says, "Do not score on this play," and Gurley said, "Yeah, yeah, I got you," and then he scored, and then he did the same stupid shit last night when late in the game they had a running play towards the sideline and he ran out of bounds, which caused the clock to stop, which actually gave Carolina a chance.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He must have like some sort of like performance clauses in his contract or something because there's no way you make these two stupid ass decisions 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would bet he's got something for touchdowns. Because he's just too seasoned of a guy to make those sorts of mental mistakes. But I guess they happen. I saw somebody on TV trying to justify it for him, saying, "Oh, well, the safety came down and hit him, and he wasn't expecting it, and so, he kind of just instinctively tried driving through the guy, and then that gave him too much momentum." And it's like, I was just sitting there, and I'm like, "Well, who the hell are you, man? Like, what did you talk to him and like go through it with him? I mean, why are you trying to stand up for the guy? A mistake's a mistake, So just own it.
Uh,
We'll move on, man."
well, and especially seems though like in past years, like there's two instances where he's gone down. Once against the Lions, where he could have scored, but he just ran along the goal line. Was that like 2 years ago, maybe? And
Yeah.
then there was I forget who they were playing. There was another instance when he was with the Rams that he did the same thing.
Yeah, who knows, man? I mean, until you're in their shoes and in that position, you don't really know what's going through their head. But yeah, it's like, geez, man, you've been playing this game a long time to do something like that. So what'd you think about the Seattle game, man? That was pretty wild going to overtime.
I thought it was a good game. That's kind of how I saw it having not overtime, but when we talked offline, like I kind of do try to look at the scores to see where it's going to be, and I had predicted the game to be 38-35.
Yeah, yeah, you were pretty
So
close. Yeah.
I mean that's about the closest I've been. I normally get like one of the teams, like if I get close, I'll get like one of the teams close, but not both of them.
Hmm.
So I thought that was interesting that I was able to get that close on that game. But I thought, I mean, and again, more stupid plays, bad clock management.
Oh yeah,
Um, it's like I I thought Arizona kind of exposed Seattle a little bit,
I
and
agree, man, 100%.
which is why I picked Arizona to win, as I thought I could see that very easily happening with how Kyler Murray had been playing, that he would light that defense up.
Yeah, I tell you, I when I watched that game, and I missed a few parts of it, but it seemed like the first half and even going into the third quarter, it felt like Seattle was dominating, even though the score was actually, still a little bit close. But then it was like all of a sudden, for the bulk of the second half, Seattle just like gradually lost it. And Arizona started blitzing more. Russell Wilson couldn't do shit. And I mean, there was a point where I thought Seattle had that game in the bag. And then all of a sudden at the end, I'm like, what the heck happened? Like, it just was like that quick of a decline. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They went from moving the ball really well, things going their way, to like a screeching halt. They couldn't make shit for plays. Russell Wilson's getting freaking hit on every drop back. I mean, it was like, big time kudos to Arizona for making that adjustment and not giving up on the game. And then, not only their defense locking them down, Kyler Murray was moving the ball well. He made it happen. And, hey, we think Seattle's defense is highly suspect. And, they made the trade for Carlos Dunlap this week. Maybe that'll help them a little bit. But still, with that kind of pressure on the line, Kyler Murray stepped up and he did enough to make it happen, man. It went to overtime. It was kind of crazy, but they got the job done, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there's anything but Seattle's defense that fucked that game up. Like, I mean, even when Russ was having some issues, they were down. They were up. Seattle was up 10 points um, in the second half, late in the fourth quarter, they were up by 10 points and still let Arizona come back. And then in the overtime, I mean, they threw the interception at what was it? It was like, I think that was in Arizona's side of the ball in like 10 seconds, not literally 10 seconds. They were able to get into field goal range and kick the field goal.
Yep. Yeah, I think at that point of the game, Seattle's defense was just done. They were gassed. There was nothing left. But yeah, hey, I thought there were some good games, and I'm kicking myself for last night's game, but we'll get into that, I guess, when we talk about the picks. All right, let's move on here. Let's do our Name That Stadium segment. So this is the flashy new piece that we added to Gridiron Grinder a couple weeks ago. And right off the bat, we had a participant. Sadly, 2 weeks in a row now, we've gotten blanked. But hey, we'll keep trying, Maybe somebody will jump in on this one. So anyhow, basically how we do this, as you can see, James is traveling around the country, hitting up all these different stadiums. And so tonight he's got a stadium behind him for one of the home teams this weekend. Anybody watching, if you think you know what stadium that is, go ahead and put your guess into the comments section. And if you're the first person to get it right, next week when we do our show, we'll give you a super, super special shout out. And the background just disappeared, but hey, that's okay. So James, while you're trying to get it back up, how about you tell us what stadium was in the background last week?
Last week I was in Tennessee at Nissan Stadium because for the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game.
Gotcha. And so I think you were saying in last week's show, your inspiration for the week before that was that you thought it was the best matchup of the week. Is that the same situation for this past week? You thought that was going to be the best game, and so you chose that stadium?
Exactly. And this past week, it ended up being probably the second best game of the week.
Yeah, it was pretty good coming down to the wire like that. I mean, Pittsburgh had a big lead at halftime, and Tennessee came back in, and they almost took it to overtime, And, I mean, hey, geez, the Goskowski thing, that makes you wonder, at some point, are they going to pull the plug on him? Because he's missed a decent amount of kicks this year, man.
He's missed a lot. Like he missed what, like 2 or 3 in the Denver game. Then he had a good game, and then like last week he missed that big one. A couple weeks ago, didn't he miss an extra point?
Yeah, I would be worried about him turning into a liability once they get to the playoffs. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could bite you in the ass. Some of those games coming down to the wire, and you got to win or you go home. You need your kicker to be solid, and that could be an Achilles heel for them if they're not careful.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So anyhow, yeah, everybody can see the stadium you got behind you. Hopefully, we get a participant this week. If not, hey, no big deal. Life moves on. But enough of that. Let's jump into our power rankings for this week. So, James, why don't you kick it off and give me your top 5 picks?
All right. So I jumped Pittsburgh up to number one. I mean, they're the only undefeated team, and I said that last week that I had to see their defense still be able to do what they act like they were prior to the Bush injury, and they were pretty solid. They held Henry pretty well in the game. Late in the game, he got some yardage, so I bumped them up to number one, and then dropped Kansas City to number two, which basically just flipped them. I Green Bay went up one spot to number three, even though they were on a bye. I just I dropped a team. I flipped Green Bay and Seattle. Is that right? Or didn't I flip them last week?
This is where I was tripping out earlier when I saw these, man.
No, but I
But
guess I didn't flip them last week. So
okay, so all right, yeah, so that makes sense. So yeah, you flipped them this week, which I mean, I get it. Seattle lost, so you were probably downgrading them a little bit, and then Green Bay got the benefit even though they weren't playing.
yeah, and I had said that if Seattle's defense continues, and as long as Russ was covering up for the defense, I could justify
Yeah,
them still staying at number three. But now that Russ kind of was exposed a little bit and confused, he can't cover up for the defense completely. So I think they take the step down. And I think if they were to play right now, if they were played today or they played this weekend, I think Green Bay probably would win.
yeah, yeah.
And then Baltimore, I left them at number five. They didn't play this last week. I have a lot of concerns about this Baltimore team and
Hmm.
how they've been playing, but I can't downgrade them because they didn't play.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And so, looking at my top 5, I've got Pittsburgh at 1, just like you do. And then after that, I've got Kansas City, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Tampa Bay. So basically, Pittsburgh, they stood still at 1. Kansas City, I moved them up a spot, basically flipped them with Tennessee, who I had at 2 last week. Baltimore, I kept them steady at 4. They were on a bye week. And then Tampa Bay, I moved them up 1 spot. With Pittsburgh, we've been talking about them a little bit here. I think that some people have been calling out that they almost lost that game to Tennessee after starting so strong. Uh, you know, I don't care, man. They're still the lone undefeated team. And I had Tennessee ranked pretty high. So I can't have Kansas City leapfrog them yet. I'm good with keeping them at 1 until they lose. I do think this week, with them playing Baltimore coming off of a bye week in Baltimore, it's a bit of a risky game. I'm going with Pittsburgh, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. But, those are kind of the games where you look at them and you say, man, Baltimore's coming out fresh. They've had plenty of time to prepare for this, and it's at home for them. Pittsburgh's got momentum, but this could be where things shift just because of some of those factors.
Yeah,
Um,
I I keep waffling back and forth on that game. We'll talk more about it, but
oh, definitely, yeah. And my model's like super close for this game.
exactly.
It actually was with Baltimore until I updated a few things, and then it swung over to Pittsburgh. And yeah, going into Sunday, it could change still. So with Kansas City, I liked that they beat down the Broncos. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see from a team of their caliber compared to a team of Denver's caliber. But like I said, until Pittsburgh loses, I'm keeping them at 1. Tennessee at 3. We covered that pretty good. I mean, I think Goskowski, man, they got to keep an eye on that. And then let's see, for Tampa Bay at 5, man, it's exciting to see that Tom Brady is starting to get rolling, and The same thing with Gronk. The chemistry is building with this team, and we talked about it a few weeks ago. How whatever commentator kept making mention, the change in philosophy could have been a factor with why Brady was kind of streaky those first couple of games, and it seems like everything's clicked now because they're just kicking ass. And so, and on top of that, their defense is starting to kick ass too. And so, I mean, geez, with these guys signing Antonio Brown, this could be a really scary team going into the playoffs, man.
Yeah, true. And with Tampa Bay, like the thing that with them is, man,
You're having technical difficulties. It's okay.
yeah, it's getting super annoying. I'm gonna probably have to buy a new computer this coming couple weeks because it's just like I figured I change it, put it on a more stable surface, it wouldn't do this, and it's still doing it. But anyways, with the thing with Tampa Bay is I looked up Brady's numbers, and he is having a better start to the season through 7 games than he did in his 2007 MVP season.
No kidding.
More yardage per game, more touchdowns, more higher passer rating. I mean, he's that's how good Brady has been playing this year, and which is absurd to think that he at 43 he's putting up better numbers than he did when he was 30.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, hey, that's what everybody was hoping for when they, married him to Bruce Arians' offense. They
Yeah,
thought this could be unlocking the secret to get Tampa Bay over the hump finally. And man, it looks electric these last couple weeks, man.
it does. They look really really good. I haven't bumped them up yet. I just with the teams around them, I'm not certain that they're better than the other teams.
I got
So
you.
I have to see more. They might get another bump this. They might get a bump this week though.
All right, well, hey, let's jump over to that because I see that they're in your next five. So give me six through
Yeah.
10, man.
So six. I left Tennessee at 6. You know, I was really down on Tennessee coming into this year, and I mean, aside from the kicker, I think Tannehill has proven that his issues in Miami weren't him; it was the coach. And then 7, I left. I have Tampa Bay. I mean, they played the Raiders this past week, and the
Yeah.
Raiders. This was the third week in a row the Raiders allowed more than 30 points.
Hmm.
That defense in Las Vegas. I almost said Oakland, so, but that defense there is bad. It's so bad
Yeah.
that I've heard talk this week that Gruden is taking over the defense.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, hey, they brought in a lot of free agent guys, and I know that they've put over the last however many years a lot of draft picks into that defense, and so there was kind of the expectation that it was going to take a little bit of time for them to get rolling, but I mean, man, we're coming up on the halfway point. They got to get into a rhythm, and they've had their asses kicked these last couple of weeks. That's a bad sign.
Yeah. And I left the Rams at 8. I mean they beat Chicago, and I have Chicago rated pretty high. There's a quirk that I noticed in my rankings a couple minutes before we started that with it, but I think this is about right for the Rams. I think the Rams actually are gonna struggle this week in Miami, which we'll get into when we make the
Yeah.
picks. Um, and Arizona got a two spot bump to go to number 9. I mean, they beat Seattle. I have Seattle in my top 5. I mean, Arizona gets that boost. I don't think Arizona is a complete team, but I definitely think they're a legit top 10 team this year. They took a hit when they lost to the Lions, but every once in a while the sun does shine on a horse's ass.
That's one way to put it.
And that's how I would refer to the Lions as. But that's and then New Orleans got a three spot bump to it's the New Orleans bump is more because there were a couple teams that I bumped down based on the way they're playing.
I
And
gotcha.
it just happened that New Orleans gets back into the top 10 because I don't think they're worse than the teams behind them. But I thought the teams that I moved down were a lot worse and have been playing a lot worse.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. All right, so flipping it over my way, 6 through 10, I've got Green Bay, Seattle, Buffalo, New Orleans, and then I've got the Los Angeles Rams. Green Bay, I bumped them up one spot, and as you know, I kind of smoked them a week ago after they had that loss, and I was just really concerned about their offensive line play, and I needed to see them bounce back. I think they played well against Houston, even without Aaron Jones. And so I bumped them up a spot. I don't want to get crazy. I got to see a little bit more of it. Seattle, I mean, you could make the argument that they should have been dropped a lot farther than what I did. I moved them down 2 spots. Um, it's a matter of, did they get exposed, or was it just, for whatever rhyme or reason, it was a bad matchup and things didn't work out for them? I don't know. I was worried about Seattle's offensive line going into the season, and Arizona just freaking blew them away. And so they got to get some protection. They made the trade for Dunlop. Maybe they got to go out and do something on the offensive line, because if not, other teams could be using that blueprint and just going after them like Arizona did. Buffalo at 8, I kept them where they were at. Honestly, man, they beat the Jets. And I know the Jets are in desperation mode, but to only win that game 18-10, it seemed like a loss to me. I don't know about you, but
Mm-hmm.
that seemed like a loss to me. And I really wanted to downgrade them, but I thought, okay, whatever, I'm just going to keep them here, and let's see what happens. But this team has like completely 180'd from how they started off the year. And so, I don't know, in future weeks, if they don't get back to that dominant form, I am probably going to start sliding them down. New Orleans at 9, man, we'll talk about them a little bit later, but, when we talk about the matchups and some stuff like that. But I like that they won even without their top 2 wide receivers. I think that was good. I was expecting that their defense would get better as the season's gone on, and I think that they have, but not at the pace that I was expecting. And so they still got a ways to go. The thing that I thought was cool about this past week when I was looking at the recap, and you may have saw this, but it was neat that both Breeze and Bridgewater threw for over 80% completion percentage. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
pretty neat. That just goes show you that you got 2 highly efficient quarterbacks, and it was a good game. And then at 10, I got the Rams. I kept them where they were at. I thought, hey, it was nice you got a win over the Bears. I'm just not sure how much that means, because we've been talking about the Bears all year, that it's been blowing us away how they've been winning games. And I've had them climb up my board probably way more than I should have. But at one point you have to, because they keep winning. And so with the Rams, I said, hey, I like this team. I like their offense. I like their defense. I'm just not sure that I want to go crazy and bump them up too high for beating up on the Bears, because I don't know, man. I think the Bears suck, and somehow they've just been getting lucky winning some games.
Well, the thing with New Orleans, if Bridgewater doesn't take that sack late in the game,
Yeah.
that took them out of field goal range, that game's probably tied going into overtime. And late in the game, Carolina was playing better than New Orleans, I thought.
I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, so give me 11 through 15.
All right, so 11. This is the weird quirk that I noticed, that Chicago actually got a 3 spot jump on a loss, and that was because when I was doing the rankings, this team dropped down, this team dropped down. I
Yeah.
had three teams drop real far, and it just ended up Chicago. I don't like this team. It's not that I hate Chicago, but I just
Yeah, hey,
their
sometimes the board
offense
moves
is
in funny ways, man. Yeah, I got
their
you.
offense is terrible. And one thing, if you look at the Monday night game with Chicago, I forget dude's name, but the punter for the Rams basically won the game for the Rams.
All right, so here, with Chicago, let me tell you this. I saw just earlier today watching NFL Network. that they are ranked last in rush yards per game, which, I mean, that's not blowing anybody away. They don't do anything on the ground. But
Does Matt Nagy
Carolina,
know it's legal to run the ball? I mean,
it's confusing, and
yeah,
sometimes the run game opens up the pass game. But hey, these are things that not all coaches know. Uh, but on top of that, you look at how well Mike Davis has come in to replace Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis was on the Bears, man, what, last year? And they let the dude go? I mean, holy cow. And it sucks for them because Tariq Cohen got hurt. And so now you're relying solely on David Montgomery. But man, they got to be kicking themselves for letting go of Mike Davis because he looks like a freaking beast with Carolina, man.
yeah, exactly. And
All right, sorry
so
for the tangent. Back to the
no, no,
board.
no, no. It's cool. Uh, Buffalo Buffalo dropped 3 spots this week. I've been saying that lately they haven't looked good. And come on, you can't even score a touchdown against the Jets. Yeah, I know. In the second half they held the Jets to 4 yards total offense, but
It's the
come on,
Jets.
it's the Jets. Like I always say, the JV team at at my high school I went to could probably beat the Jets.
But I know that team, and they were pretty good, James.
Oh no, I'm talking about the current JV team.
Oh. All righty. So San Fran at 13. Tell me about them.
San Fran 13. I just like how this team, like they just that with Justin Wilson was that the latest running back they had that got
Oh,
hurt.
yeah, I'm trying to think of the name. Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like this team is just able. Shanahan is doing magical things with this team,
Yeah.
and I have to give them the respect they deserve on that. I mean, they went out and like they ran for like 700 yards and beat the shit out of New England. Plus, I couldn't have New England ahead of them
Yeah.
because of how dominating of a performance it was by San Fran, which gets me to 14, which is New England. New England just looks in disarray.
Hmm.
I'm hearing rumors all week that they're looking to trade Gilmore,
Oh, wow.
and I mean it's just this team is there's no talent on that offense.
I know. Yeah, and Cam looks freaking god awful, man.
Yeah,
I heard somebody talking about it just the other day, saying that they think that this is just kind of like a lingering COVID thing where he's just not fully healthy yet. But I don't know, man. I mean, we talked about it, I think, last week. Aside from the Seattle game, he's not done anything passing this year. And so
yeah.
he's got to
But I
figure
mean,
it out, man.
if you look at the game against San Francisco, like I mean, he was what do you have like 87 yards passing? I mean, that's probably a little bit low. It's probably at least in the hundreds. I would
Maybe,
hope.
maybe not. Yeah.
I would hope, but it's just like he's not playing good at all this year. He had and
No, and we got so excited through those first couple games, especially
exactly.
that Seattle game, and then it's like, whoa, wait a minute, he really only had the one game, I think the first game they won, he did it on the ground, and that's great, but we're finding that you've got to be able to pass at least a little bit because that shit on the ground's not going to carry the whole game.
Yeah. He had 98 yards passing. Of course,
That's
he was pulled, and for Jared Stidham, I mean, he only had 15 passes he threw. But you're right, this team has to pass the ball a little bit to be able to run. You can't just run and pound the ball and try to run and try to run and try to run, which even the run wasn't working in the game. I mean,
yeah.
total as a team, they had 94 yards rushing. I mean, San Francisco just pounded the shit out of them.
Yeah, if you want to be one dimensional, then you got to go out and you got to get an offensive line like the Raiders, where you're putting some money into some serious heavy hitters, and then you
Yeah,
can just run the ball nonstop. And even them, They don't run the ball all the time like that. They still have a really good balance with the run and the pass. But if you're going to do it, you better get some big guys on the line, man.
Yeah. And then rounding out my at 15 is Indianapolis. They stayed where they were. I I don't know about this team. One week Phillip Rivers is a double agent. One week he's not.
Yeah, and the defense, they've looked good, and then they've had games where you're kind of like,
Exactly.
they're not really getting the sacks, so I don't know. All right, well,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, looking at mine, I'll start with them. I got them at 12. They didn't have a game, so I didn't move them, which was good. Sometimes the board moves, and they just kind of have to move that way. But I agree. I think that for having them at 12 on my side, it's one that I'm keeping a very close eye on. At 11, I've got Arizona. I moved them up 3 spots. In the game against Seattle is a prime example of why we got so hyped up on them early in the year. And then, things kind of cooled off. And now it's like we're right back on that hype train. Like this team could be for real. I like what I'm seeing. I like how the defense figured things out as that game went on. And obviously, Kyler Murray, he can make it happen, man. Um, Jumping down a few, I got Cleveland at 13. I moved them up 3 spots. Man, I thought this was just a funny one. A week ago, there were rumors starting to circulate about the team benching Baker Mayfield. I know they benched him in the one game because they thought there was some lingering injury stuff. But there were rumors in the background that maybe he was going to lose his place with the team because he was falling out of favor and whatever else. And lo and behold, he comes out and he throws 5 fucking touchdowns. I mean, that's without Odell Beckham at that. So
But
solid.
that's the thing with Baker is he's better statistically when Odell Beckham's not in the game than when
Yeah,
Odell Beckham was in the game.
yeah, and,
And
and I've heard people saying that you can look at the tape and you see him trying to force the ball to Odell
uh-huh.
Beckham,
And
and that's hurt him. Yeah,
if you look at this past game, after Odell went down, which of course it was an interception that Baker threw, but he was 21 for 22, and the one pass that was incomplete was a kill the clock pass.
yeah. So pretty damn good.
Yeah. So I mean, he played solid. I have them. I'll just say I have them at 16. I didn't move them because it's Cincinnati, and I don't think Cincinnati's defense is that good.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. You got to look at the opponent, and I just bumped him up because I've had Cleveland high on the board, and I kind of smoked him a few weeks ago, and now I'm starting to get him back up because I'm seeing all the things that I liked about him. But I hear that argument. The next one I got at 14, I've got Chicago, and their loss to the Rams is more in line with how I kind of imagined most of the games for them. Um, but they've surprised every year, so I'm trying not to overreact. I dropped them down 3 spots. I'll keep them here for now, and then we'll figure it out later. San Fran, I've got them at 15. I bumped them up 4 spots. I think you covered it pretty well, but I do like that Jimmy G had some revenge there against the Patriots. Good for him. Hopefully he can keep it rolling. Man, their division, I tell you, it looks like the most exciting division in the NFL this year. And so hopefully they all keep playing at that level because San Fran's had a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of things kind of get weird for them this year. But, this past game looks like they're ready to get back on track.
Right. One thing, a lot of talk I'm hearing about that division is questioning with the 7 playoff teams
Yeah.
if all 4 teams in in their division can make the playoffs.
Um, that would be interesting. I would have to, I guess, have somebody look at the schedule and figure out can they actually all possibly win that many games.
Yeah, but another thing I heard this week is if they have games that can't be rescheduled, like they can't line up the bye weeks and stuff like that because of COVID, they might add a week 18, and then that Week 18 will be the makeup games,
Hmm.
but then add another team to the playoffs and have an 8-team playoff this
Oh,
year, because otherwise the team that gets the bye will like have 20 days between games.
oh, if they add a week 18, yeah, yeah, that'd be that's a long time to not be playing football, man.
Yeah. So that's just a rumor I'm hearing that might happen.
Some inside info. I know you got
Yeah.
Goodell on speed dial. No big
Yeah,
deal. Yeah. All right, man. 16 through 20.
All right, 16 Cleveland. I didn't bump them up. The reason I didn't bump them up is because they were playing Cincinnati, and even though I picked Cincinnati to win that game, I thought it was more a function of how Cleveland was playing, and Baker looked good once Odell went down, which you hate to see somebody tear their ACL, but that might have been the best thing that happened to this team.
Yeah.
Vegas, I dropped them 7 spots. I've been pretty high on them this year, but that defense is absolutely atrocious. I mean, 3 straight games with more than 30 points allowed. I mean, it's bad. Philadelphia stayed at 18. The thing with Philadelphia is somehow one of these 4 teams in that division are going to win the division at what, 5-10
Yeah,
or
whether they want
five
to
ten
or
and
not,
one.
somebody
Yeah,
has to win.
and I think surely based on the quarterback, Philadelphia is the best team in the division. And that's not saying much because Carson Wentz has sucked this year.
I know, but I think that they're finally getting it together. And,
Yeah,
like, I think we talked about it either last week or the week before, is that he's been playing without his top three wide receivers, man. And so, and one of his tight ends that he goes to a lot. And so and even recently, Miles Sanders is out too. I mean, like the injuries are so crazy on this team, but it
yeah.
seems like he's finally developing chemistry with Fulgham and some of those other receivers. And, defensively, maybe they're getting healthy. I think Philadelphia can pick up steam as the year goes on, and they can walk away with this division. But it is because the rest of the teams are just that atrocious right now. So,
Exactly. The Miami, I I actually almost bumped up Miami this week. I've been talking about it all year. I've been telling you about this, and
mhm.
I as soon as I heard, even when with Tua starting, like I said Tua starting in Miami. I mean
Yeah,
it's
you
fucking
were
awesome.
excited. Yeah.
Tua this I just think I think that Tua is going to be the franchise quarterback there. I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. The injury was a risk. Coming back from the injury was a risk, but I'm very excited to see this team play. Even though they're playing the Rams this week, I'm very excited to see that game. That's like one of the top games on my list to watch this week to see how Tua plays. Yeah, the argument can be made. Why are you starting Tua? Fitz has been playing good, but I mean, I think really it was the plan to give him the 2 weeks after the bye. Plus, if you look at the Rams defense, they don't do much complicated on defense. They don't have to because their defense is that damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, and so maybe that makes it a easy adjustment for them. Even though it's a tough, stout defense, it's not one that's going to be complicated to read. I get
Ex-
it.
Exactly. And then at 20, I finally bumped the Lions up and I bumped them up to 4 spots. Yeah, you can say that Atlanta gave them the game, but here's the thing with them. They traded for Everson Griffin,
Hmm.
which I'm excited about because I thought I wanted in the offseason him signing in Dallas in the offseason was what made it actually gave Dallas a boost this year for me. I
Hmm.
think if he gets into a defense where somebody knows what the fuck they're talking about, I know I'm drawing assumptions that the Lions
Yes.
know what the fuck they're talking about, but I think that the entire Dallas team is completely in disarray, and I think, and what I'm seeing from the Lions so far is, yeah, they had some hiccups, but they're starting to get it together and starting to play as a team and starting to have that cohesion.
Yeah, I think for the Lions, man, it's been like they've had the right, I don't know how to put it. Like the stars have aligned for them since the bye week. They got to come out and play Jacksonville, super soft, and now you're playing Atlanta, who just fired their coach a couple weeks ago. The team came out playing more disciplined football, and I think it's helping build their confidence because they got to beat up on some inferior teams, and now that can lead to some momentum for them. And I mean, they do have a soft schedule still coming up, so it is good for them. Hey, on the one hand, I'm kind of happy for them. On the other hand, I'm not, just because I want them to blow it up. But hey,
Yeah, exactly.
all right. So on my side, this tier is fairly boring. A lot of these guys stayed put, but I got Vegas at 16. I moved them down 3 spots. It was an ugly loss, like you said. The one thing that I think is worth mentioning is that they were down a guy on the offensive line, and Josh Jacobs was playing hurt, and so I think that didn't help. But they're, like you said, their defense, man, they got their asses kicked. Miami at 17, I kept them where they were at, and I like how you broke it down with Tua coming in. Man, the only thing that concerns me is just that this is a team that was really trending towards sneaking into the playoffs this year. And now you got the rookie quarterback. I just can't help but wonder if he struggles, which rookie quarterbacks typically do. Are people going to start calling for Fitz to come back in? I think it would be stupid. I think you need to realize that this is your chance to develop this guy, and you weren't really expecting to make a playoff run this year anyhow. And so be patient and give him time. I just know how fans can be crazy, and I could see some shit like that happening.
Well, it's the thing about it is I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and for the last 2 weeks, Miami Dolphin fans have been calling into to these shows and talking about how excited they are that it's Tua, and how they don't care if he struggles to start, but they believe this is that this is their franchise quarterback. Yeah, that could change if he actually starts to struggle, but I mean, I'm hearing a lot of excitement there for the future of this team.
And that's good. But all I'm saying is, let's just say he loses 3 straight right out of the gate. People are going to start saying, "Shit, man, we probably could have made the playoffs with Fitz. Maybe maybe we should have let it go a little bit further." But hopefully they hang on to that and they stick with that, because I do think, like you, the right move for them long term is to hand off the baton. And this was a good time to do it. They gave him plenty of prep going into this game. Even though when you look at it, yeah, you say, shit, it's the Rams defense, man. That's kind of a tough matchup for a rookie quarterback. But you made some good points that they're kind of vanilla with what they do, because they know they can beat you with their skill. And so hey, we'll see, man. I'm hoping the guy does good. All right, next up, I got the Chargers at 18. I kept them where they were at. It really kind of just sounds strange that Herbert just got his first career win. It seems like every week we're blown away with how well this guy is playing. And, we're getting to the midpoint of the season, but I still think that there's a chance. It's slim, but there's a chance this could be a dark horse team in the AFC, man, with how quickly this guy's progressed. And they just got Melvin Ingram back on the defense. I don't know. I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I like the Chargers. 19, I got New England. I dropped them down 4 spots. I mean, we talked about it. They're in disarray. I mean, that's really the right way to put it. And if Cam can't figure things out, I don't know, man. Maybe they should be in the trade market for Fitz or Tyrod Taylor or one of these guys that it seems like we talk about every week. But it's tough. You're far enough into the year that it's like you almost just got to call it what it is and start thinking about next year, which is crazy to be thinking that about a Belichick team. 20, I got Carolina. I kept them where they were at. I like that they kept it close with the Saints. Like you said, I mean, they kind of should have won that game, and a couple things just didn't go right at the end. And I thought it was sweet that they tried that super long field goal at the end, man. Joey Sly, that guy has got a freaking leg, and I hope they keep letting him kick those deep ones, dude, because he might nail one. You never know. I mean, he missed it by like inches, man.
Yeah.
All right, flipping it back to you, 21 through 25.
So at 21, I have Cincinnati. I dropped them down a spot. I really like what I see from Burrow. Defensively, there's no talent on this team.
No, and their offensive line has like nothing going on either.
Yeah, and which is ridiculous. Like Burrow is playing so well, yet they don't have an offensive line that could block me or you.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's terrible, and it might get him hurt as bad as this offensive line is, but there's nothing they can really do until next year. And then 22, I have Denver. I've been disappointed in how Drew Lock's been playing.
Oh yeah.
I've been really disappointed in it. As we talked before the season, I was really high on Drew Lock coming in. I thought possibly Drew Lock could be a franchise quarterback. Now I'm having doubts about that.
And let me just jump in real quick while you're on that topic. And, maybe you've seen some of this stuff like I've seen, maybe you've not. But, man, I tell you what, I have really soured on Drew Lock. And I see these things where they show him on the sideline, and he's like fucking joking around with people, and he's like making all these weird motions and stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I get it. Technically this is a game, but it's a professional game that people get paid a lot of money for. And you're a starting quarterback in this league. You're supposed to be a leader of that team. And you're sitting there fucking around on the sideline like you're a fucking 13-year-old boy. And I don't know. The maturity is like so far away from where it needs to be with this guy. And I think that they could be in the market for a quarterback after this season, honestly. If something doesn't turn around with him, it's weird. It's shit like that, though, that when I see that, it's hard for me to change my opinion on somebody. It's like years ago, you might remember this, when Mark Sanchez freaking picked his boogers and wiped it on Mark Brunell on the sideline. Or the time when fucking Sanchez ate a hot dog on the sideline. It's like, dude, when you do shit like that, you're just not engaged, man. And so I don't know. I know I'm going on a rant here, but I'm with you 100%. Drew Lock, not what I thought he was going to be this year. Not even close.
And Carolina also dropped down one spot. The other thing with these teams that are dropping down one spot is I did bump the Lions up 4 spots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these teams are going to drop. I think I like what I'm seeing in Carolina. This is obviously not their year to make the playoffs, but I see a lot of progression, and possibly another year or 2 years under Matt Rule, this team can get back to being good again, like they were, like 2016 when they made the Super Bowl, or back before that when Cam was having his prime years, which is ridiculous to say, seeing though he's 30. This should be his prime year.
Yeah, well, when you run the ball all the time, it beats you up, it grinds you down.
And then the Chargers at 24, they got a 3-spot bump. I need to see more out of this team. Like I've been saying, I think Anthony Lynn. I think they need to get a new coach in there. I haven't seen enough grit in this team to hold the leads.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally won this past week, but I mean they should. There's other games that they should have won, or
I think it's coming. I think it's coming. And one thing that I just want to remind you of is that Austin Eckler's been out and he should be coming back soon. I know that they've been sandbagging his return, and they want him to be right when he comes back. But I think that could totally change this offense once he's back, because now you've got a legit running back in the mix. Maybe helps him control the tempo a little bit better.
Right, and I know, and but I'm just saying, like, my excitement about this team is tempered by the fact that they can't hold the leads, and that you could be possibly right. It could be because of the running game, but defensively too. Like they had like a 20+ point lead and blew it. I mean, it's much like Atlanta. Atlanta has found, surprisingly, last night they didn't find the new magical way to lose by missing the extra point, then letting Carolina drive the field, get the 2-point conversion, and somehow they lost before the overtime. But
yeah. Hey, man, I told you last night, man, that Oluwakan, holy crap, that guy was like named on every play. He was everywhere on the field, man. So sorry.
And then 25, I have Houston. They say the same. I see a lot of potential in Houston. I don't see a lot of execution. I think they're actually going to blow this team up, and they're probably going to trade Fuller. I'm hearing rumors that they're going to trade Watt. They just signed Watson to an extension, but they don't have an offensive line there. They just they need to get draft picks to get bodies in there that could possibly do good. I mean, when you trade DeAndre Hopkins for a box of marbles, that's what happens to the team. But
yeah. No, I think David Johnson has played okay, but yeah, they should have hung on to Nuke. He's rock solid. So. All right, so yeah, I've got 21. I've got Detroit. I moved them up one spot. Hey, we talked about Atlanta with Gurley giving him a gift, whatever. I don't want to talk too much about Detroit. We talked a little bit about Denver. I got them at 22. I dropped them down one spot. And then 23, we got Philly. I moved them up 2. The one thing with Philly that you don't hear a lot about, but to me, it was disturbing that they were down 21-10 in the fourth quarter to the Giants, and they ultimately pulled off the win. So I'm giving them a bump, and I do believe, like I was saying earlier, that they have the pieces there, and I can see the way that they could start walking away with this division. But I am also being very cautious with them, and so they get a two spot bump. We'll see what happens. Atlanta at 24, I dropped them down one spot. Here's what I think with Atlanta. They know how to shoot themselves in the foot. We've seen that this year. I believe that they have a couple good years left with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. And Calvin Ridley's come on strong. He looks like a great wide receiver complement there. They talked in that game last night about they just need more time with Hayden Hurst. I don't know, man. Hayden Hurst, him and Matt Ryan are not on the same page. Matt Ryan's throwing one way, he's looking another way. It's just not working there. Hopefully they get on the same page. But what I'm getting at is that, in Raheem Morris, he's a defensive-minded guy. I don't know that he's the right guy. But they should be thinking, go defense hard, because the offense can make stuff happen as long as they hang on to that nucleus. It's the defense that needs to get them over the hump now. And I know that that's exactly what they were trying to do with Dan Quinn, and it failed. But they need to take one more shot at it. Otherwise, blow it up. Because I don't think you want to bring in an offensive-minded guy and rebuild with a quarterback-wide receiver combo that the clock's ticking. I think if you're going to bring in an offensive-minded guy, you trade Matt Ryan, you trade Julio Jones, and you start from scratch. I guess it's one of the two. Either go defense and don't totally blow it up, or blow it up now and go offense, or whatever way you want to go. My thought.
See, what I'm hearing is there's a possibility that trade deadline's Tuesday, and I'm hearing a strong possibility that Julio Jones might be traded by the trade deadline.
All right, here. I know I'm going on a tangent here, and this isn't Julio, but I don't know, man. Matt Ryan to New England. Why the fuck not?
See, I would say that, but there's if the thing with getting rid of Matt Ryan
Yeah.
is
You're
even
gonna have a
if they
shitload of dead cap space. Either
yeah,
one of those guys.
it's like
Yeah.
it's well, Julio isn't as bad as Ryan. I Matt Ryan. I believe next year has like a 40-some million cap hit.
Oh yeah, it's gonna kill him. Yeah.
Uh, while you finish, I'll look it up, but
Yeah.
I believe it's ridiculous.
No, I figured that much, but I think that would support my option A, which is get a freaking defensive minded guy that knows what the heck he's doing and pour a ton of resources into building a respectable defense for next year. But and so I'll round out my top 25. I had Houston also at 25. I dropped them down one spot. I didn't get to watch that game, but it bothered me when I looked at the box score and read up on it that Houston had 0 points at halftime. That's not good, man. Especially when you got Deshaun Watson. You got to get some points on the board more steadily throughout the game. And like I said, I didn't see it, so I don't know why and how it all played out. I think Green Bay is one of the best teams in the league this year. I had higher hopes for Houston. I don't know what else to say.
All right, so next year, Matt Ryan's dead cap is 49 million. Almost
Yeah. So you can't
40,
trade him. You can't trade him.
49 937. Julio Jones next year's dead cap hit is uh it's not quite as bad, but it's 38 million. I always remembered
Oh
2022
shit.
because
So
when
James, it's option A. You have to go all defense in the offseason
yeah,
and hope that you have at least a middle of the road defense next season. Because if you let's just say they did that. They poured almost every draft pick into defense. They made it a huge priority in free agency, and they got a new head coach that's a defensive minded guy. All you need is a middle of the road defense. This offense is good enough that can carry you into the playoffs, man.
yeah. No, I agree. And the sad thing about it is they have three losses in games that they should have won. At
Yeah,
least three losses.
I
I
saw
mean, they
that
should
thing.
have.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
They they should they obviously should have won the Dallas game,
Dallas.
the Chicago game, the I mean the Detroit game. Fuck, they should have won that game.
Oh
I
yeah.
I can't remember their other losses, but so yeah, the Cowboys. Okay, Seattle, they weren't in that game. The Bears game, Packers game, they weren't really in. They probably should have won the Panthers game,
Yep.
the first one, and the Lions. Like, I mean, if they have those three wins, they're 5-3 right now.
hmm Well, yeah, it's a totally different season. Dan Quinn didn't get fired. Yeah, they're alive and well.
Yeah, and for some reason, down. I mean, they were coming back. They were down by three, kicked down by 10, and they kicked a field goal early in the fourth quarter against the Carolina, and then Carolina scored a field goal, and then they kicked a field goal with 4 seconds left. Like they weren't really in that game. So
hmm
maybe I was being too generous with the Carolina game.
I gotcha.
But still, I mean, the three of their losses in the fourth quarter they had 98% win probability.
Yeah, I saw that in the game last night. It baffles me, but hey, crazy things happen. All right, man, hit me up 26 through 30.
All right, so 26 Jacksonville stayed the same. Eh, Jacksonville probably would have dropped if I wouldn't have dropped Dallas down to 27. I dropped Dallas 4 spots. This team is freaking terrible, and like I've never even heard of this guy. I'm not even sure the guy that's starting at quarterback this week,
Oh, Danucci.
Danucci or whatever his name is. I'm not sure he actually truly exists.
He does. He was in the game a little bit last week when Dalton got knocked out with the concussion.
right. And so,
But
but I mean,
he's an enigma to you. I get it. Yeah.
right, and so if you look at Dallas, Dallas is, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with this. Jerry Jones is going on his radio show and telling hosts that are asking him questions to shut up. I mean, there's problems here.
Yeah. Well, I killed Dallas in my rankings. I don't know, last week or the week before. And now I've dropped him even lower. I got him like at the bottom of the barrel, but I think you're being generous having him at 27.
Well, I don't. What I've seen, they beat Atlanta, so I couldn't drop them below Atlanta, which is my 28 team. I don't think they're worse than Minnesota, which is 29, and I definitely didn't they beat the Giants? Or is that the Giants only
They
win?
did beat the Giants.
So I couldn't. I mean that's my 30. Those teams didn't change. I just I couldn't justify enough put dropping them down as far that far.
All right, so then maybe I'm the bad guy. I get it. All right, so then at 28 you got Atlanta, 29 you got Minnesota,
Yeah, I just went through those.
30 you got the Giants. Oh, I, I guess I guess I took it as you kind of tagging them onto your reasoning for Dallas being there. I was waiting to see if there was more to come on each of those teams. But yeah, I get it. You got it. All right, so it's
Oh,
on me now.
I mean those teams are just
Yeah.
Atlanta is. Like I've hit them. Minnesota's just playing like shit, and they need to do
Oh
something.
yeah.
And part of what they need to do, and I hate to say it because I love him as a quarterback, and I think he's a solid starting quarterback, and I thought he was going to have a good year this year too, but they need to move on from Cousins.
It's not working, and it
Something's
sucks
not
that they
working.
just extended him. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, the Giants, the only reason the Giants are in my top 30 is because they beat Washington.
Yep.
I
All
mean,
right. Well, yeah.
that team has a turnstile in an offensive line, and they have no defense. And Saquon Barkley's hurt. Daniel Jones might have 20 turnovers this week. I mean, it's just a bad team.
Yeah, and Will Hernandez, basically, their only offensive lineman is out this week with COVID. So, yeah, they're in trouble. All right, so I can't
Have
see you,
offensive
James,
linemen?
and I'm going to use that as my excuse for I'm just not getting the cues of when it's my turn to go here.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on it but it's just like I said,
You got some tech issues. I got it, man. All
yeah.
right, well, here, while you're playing around with it, I'll go 26 through 30. I got Cincinnati at 26. I kept them where they were at. These past few weeks have been on the quiet side for Joe Burrow. And I think part of that maybe is that Justin Herbert stole the spotlight from him. But, despite these guys losing to Cleveland, Burrow did throw 3 TDs. And so I think that that at least is getting back on track. I don't know that Cincinnati is getting back on track, but Burrow is back on track. 27, I got Minnesota. No game, no move. I think it sucks for them. And I'm not like saying this like it bothers me personally, but I think it sucks for them that they're coming off of a bye week and they have to play Green Bay. For how rough of a year that they've had, you know, they would wish that they were in the Lions' shoes, where you get a bye week and then you get a soft opponent to get yourself a little bit of confidence and get back on track. I think it's tough because they're hitting the wall right off the bat here, and this could be it because they're not going to get a break until the end of the year now. 28, I got the Giants. I moved them up 2 spots. Hey man, that run by Daniel Jones, it was just awesome. That was fun to watch. I mean, basically he psyched himself out, tackled himself, but it happens. It's a guy that's not used to making that kind of a play, and so that was fun. I do believe that they're getting their shit together a little bit. There's been signs of life on offense. There's been signs of life on defense, but they are definitely a bottom tier team. I don't know, man. It's just crazy to believe. All they got to do is a little something, and they could be fucking leading the division. So I don't know. But I just don't see it out of the Giants. 29, I got Washington. I moved them up 2 spots. Basically, I expected them to beat Dallas just because I think Dallas is toast. And I didn't expect it to be 25-3, but, that's how it is. 30, I've got Jacksonville. I dropped them down 1. I thought it was nice that it was an interesting game until towards the end. The one thing with these guys is that, they're saying Minshew broke some bones in his throwing hand. And so, maybe this is the end of Minshew mania. I don't really know. I think they were hoping he wouldn't play well this whole year because they've been wanting to blow this team up. And so, I don't know. I'd trade for Minshew. Let's give him Stafford. I'll take Minshew. We'll move on. And at least we get a fresh start. We go from there.
Yeah.
I still can't see you, but let's go bottom of the barrel here, man. 31-32.
I left Washington at 31. I see promise in Washington.
Oh yeah.
I think that defense is playing very well, and I need that offense to start to click a little bit more. And I think it's the quarterback play. I think I like Ron Rivera. I think it's a great story that he finished his cancer treatment, and I mean, if you hear some of the stuff he went through just to coach on the sidelines, like getting IVs at halftime to make sure he didn't get dehydrated. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I think I see a lot of promise for the future of this team. They just need to get better offensively. And then the Jets, like we've touched on it. The Pee Wee team from around the corner probably could beat the Jets. That's how bad they are.
Yeah. All right. So I've got Dallas at 31. I've dropped them to the bottom of the barrel. And I think that team that hung in there with Atlanta, it's that team is dead now without Dak. And so, I was looking at this. They scored 3 points this past week against Washington. It's the fewest in a game for Dallas since 2002. I'm just blown away at how far this team has fallen. And it sucks, but, this year is done for them, basically. And then, with the Jets, I like the way you put it. It's a lot nicer than I put it, but, I just can't. I mean, how the fuck is Adam Gase still a head coach? I don't know. I've been saying it every week. It just blows my mind. I really don't know what to say, man. It was a closer game than most people expected against Buffalo, but it was still another loss. At some point, you got to pull the plug, man.
Well, I told you last week why they're not going to pull the plug on him. It's simply because if they pull the plug, recent history shows the team wins a game, and they can't risk winning a game because they're going to get Trevor. Which, if you hear the rumors that are coming out now, Trevor Lawrence might not even come out this year. And,
whoa, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said his intent. He said something along the lines of his intention coming into the season was to come out, but you never know what's going to happen.
Huh. Well, I saw he got COVID, so he's going to miss this weekend.
He's going to miss this weekend, and it's interesting because it depends on when the test was. He might miss next weekend too. Because in the ACC, their protocol is if you get COVID, you're out 10 days. You have to isolate for 10 days.
Okay.
So it depends if it was a Wednesday test or if it was a Thursday test.
Gotcha.
It doesn't even matter because they're playing Notre Dame next weekend, and then they're probably going to play Notre Dame in the ACC championship game. It's probably better for the ACC if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play that Notre Dame game. Clemson loses and then beats Notre Dame in the championship game, they get 2 teams in the playoff. But this is not a college football.
Hey, I got you. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about here, James. It's our show. Sure. But yeah. All right, so let's switch over. Let's look at week 8 and make some picks. We already talked about, hey, you caught up with me on the picks. We're sitting tied at 70 on the season, which is good for 67%. I don't know, 67, 2 out of 3. That sounds good, but when you're picking the winners, maybe it's not. Who knows? I don't really bet, so whatever. But okay, starting Thursday night, Atlanta at Carolina. Originally, you had Carolina. I had Atlanta. I finally got my model revamped, and like an idiot, I switched my pick to Carolina, and Carolina lost. It's tough, man. On the one hand, it's like I gotta trust my model. On the other hand, like some of the things I talked about last week, evenly matched teams typically trade wins and whatever else. I don't know. I think I just like basically talked myself into going with Carolina. I saw that there was a 50% chance of rain. I read an article about how Matt Ryan, not that he necessarily struggles, but that he only throws for like 80% of the average yards when he's outdoors. And basically, I just went looking for reasons to pick Carolina, and I got burned. But whatever. That was my pick. You tell me, man. Why'd you go with Carolina?
So a couple things. Like you had the rain. Teddy Bridgewater had never lost to Carolina. I'm sorry, to Atlanta and Matt Ryan. Um, it, I thought Carolina was playing better. I had it dead even. It also, and those little facts just gave Carolina the edge in it, which stupidly I probably should have just gone with my instincts and thought, well, Atlanta just lost to Detroit and gave up the game. They're probably going to come out and try harder and not try harder, but probably come out not with it on a tear, which they did, and it might be Julio and Matt Ryan's last ever primetime game together.
Yeah,
But you live and you learn. Should go with your instincts a little bit more.
I got you. Yeah, and hey, we won the last week on Thursday night football, so it's okay. We can start it off with a loss here. We'll just go for the clean sweep for the rest of the weekend. All right, so the first game, we got Pittsburgh at Baltimore. What do you think?
So Pittsburgh at Baltimore, and I just don't know about this game. I keep going back and forth. Like if you look at the teams, it's pretty relatively easy match. These both teams blitz the most in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson has 59% completion percentage against the blitz this year. Ben has 71% against the blitz this year.
Oh, that's an interesting stat.
But Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, whichever one's the coach,
John.
John. I get them confused like I get the Bosa brothers confused.
It's
Like
all good, man.
Harbaugh, his last four at weeks after a bye, he's won.
Yeah.
And
that's the
I
thing
keep
that has
flip
me
flopping
nervous
back and
about this
forth,
game.
and I have
Yeah.
I have it really close, and I'm going to change the pick I sent you. I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah, so I've got Pittsburgh, but like a lot of the things that you're saying, and earlier, like I was talking about, Baltimore coming off of a bye, playing at home, man, it's tough. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I like they're the lone undefeated team. They've got momentum. They've got a stud defense, but Baltimore has all that crazy stuff too, man. They've got a solid defense. They've got, what can be an electric offense, even though it's mostly a running kind of offense. Uh, yeah, I could be switching my pick going into Sunday, but for now, I'm sticking with the Steelers.
Well, but see, and that's the thing about the Steelers. If the Steelers win this game, they could be 10-0 going into the Thanksgiving game against Baltimore.
Yeah, if the Steelers win this game, I'm just going to be like super hyped about the Steelers, and I'm already pretty hyped about them.
Yeah,
But yeah, this would like
after this game they have Dallas, Cincinnati, Jacksonville.
that's like, hey, let's rotate in the backups so they get some experience, and our starters can heal up a little bit. That's what that kind of a run is.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how easy their schedule is between the two Baltimore games,
Yeah.
and then like you look at Baltimore's schedule, and it's like it's if I remember correctly, it's decently hard
Yeah, it's
after
tough, man. We had the schedule in Excel at one point as we were doing our picks, but now that all these COVID reschedules came into play, it's hard to even look at it because it's you just got to go to the NFL site and get the updated
yeah.
schedule, I guess.
So
So
so after this week with Baltimore, they have or this game with Pittsburgh, Baltimore has Indy, New England, Tennessee.
yeah, it's definitely tougher than what Pittsburgh has. Yeah,
So
but New England's been playing crappy. Indy's super sketchy. Tennessee though they're solid.
yeah. So make sure you change it. I changed my pick on that to Baltimore.
All right, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted on that one. Okay, so the next one I got Los Angeles Rams at Miami Dolphins.
Okay, this game was one of the hardest games for me to pick this week. It was almost as hard as the Baltimore Pittsburgh game, which was the hardest game for me to pick, and I kept going back and forth on that one. The thing with the with the Dolphins is I'm really excited about Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think the Rams are coming in on a short week. I think it's difficult if you look at rookie quarterbacks, their first game, they usually light it up because there's no NFL film on them.
I was going to say the same thing. It's the unpredictability factor. But
I just think
I'm going with the I'm going with the Rams. But I think, like you're saying, I think because of that, it can be a trap game for a team
right,
like the Rams. Yeah,
but I'm still going with the Rams. I'm not changing to the Dolphins. I think this is going to be a close game. If
yeah.
it if we're picking against the spread, it might go the other way.
So let me ask you. Sorry about that. What's going on in Miami with the fans? Do you know? Because I remember like the governor of Florida said that they can have a full house if they want, but the team was like, we're not going to be stupid. We're only going to keep it at X, capacity. Uh, if it was a full house, I might think about giving it to Miami because you know that place would be banging in Tua's first game. But the lack of fans, it is a factor. I still think the Rams are better on both sides of the ball, and so I'm giving them the edge. But yeah, it could be a trap game.
Yeah, they're not going to capacity. They're still limiting the capacity at 13,000.
That's not enough, man. I mean, 13,000, you can get loud, but not that loud.
Whoa.
What's that?
Oh, it was. I looked it up, and the website had a video that auto played on me.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Okay, moving on. We got the New York Jets at Kansas City Chiefs. Do I have to ask, James?
I'm going with the Jet. No, I'm going with the Chiefs. Come on, there's no way in hell the Jets are gonna win a game. The Jets might the only games the Jets might win this year are against New England because New England's trying to prevent them from getting Tua.
All right. So you mean Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah,
But yeah,
Trevor
yeah,
Lawrence.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
No, I got you. Hey, we've been jamming for an hour 20 here. Um,
I'm on my like third whiskey, so
oh well, that's it. You got to catch up, man. No, I'm just kidding.
it's
I
more
mean,
like half a cup. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. You've probably passed me. No, I'm going with the Chiefs. Obviously, I mean, when I saw this game, I thought, hey, I don't bet, but I would like to just put $5 on the Jets to win because if you hit it, it's probably a shitload of money that you get. So, but no, I mean, it's the Chiefs all the way. I think even if Mahomes went down in the first play of the game, it's still the Chiefs. Okay,
so
next
actually
up. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
it would if you bet $5 on this game, it would only win you 55.
Yeah, so it's not even worth rolling the dice on.
Yeah, for some reason the money line on the Jets is way skewed compared to the Chiefs money line. Like you figure it'd be some sort of even side, but it's like minus 2,500 for the Chiefs to win and only plus 1,100.
Okay. Eh, yeah, I don't know enough about the betting scene, but that's all right. All
So
right,
it's like, yeah, whatever.
all right. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay Packers. And James,
Uh,
this is the problem. I can't see you, man. I keep getting tripped up. I'm like, are you done talking? Is it my turn? What's going on? I don't know.
I know. I'm sorry. I for some reason my computer doesn't want to, or the program doesn't want to recognize my camera. I can get my camera to load and everything else, but just not here for some reason.
It's all right. We'll get you an external camera for next time.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
All right.
Let me
So
see.
I'm assuming you like Green Bay in this game.
Yeah, if you look at this game, Minnesota is just terrible. Green Bay's on a roll. I still like Green Bay in this game. It's just not it's not going to be pretty for Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going with Green Bay. Minnesota has no defense. So, and their offense, I don't know. I think I heard Dalvin Cook's questionable. I don't think it even matters, man. Their offense is so just off the wall this year. Okay, next up we got Indianapolis at Detroit.
So this game was a difficult game for me to pick, and I had to go back through it and make sure that I wasn't being biased for my
Hmm.
fandom.
Yeah.
But when I really look at how, yeah, Indianapolis coming off the bye, et cetera, Detroit coming off a win, but I like the cohesiveness I'm seeing from the Lions
Hmm.
and the fight I'm seeing from the Lions, and I'm going to go with the Lions.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, hey, I've been in full blown hater mode against the Lions, but for now, I'm picking them to win. Like we talked about, they got 2 wins in a row off of the bye week. I think that's helping them build some confidence and some momentum. I still think Rivers is a liability. The one thing that makes me hesitate on this, my model is really close in this matchup, and Indy is getting Darius Leonard back. He is a legit difference maker for that defense. And so, if any of my games are going to change going into Sunday, this could be one of them just for the fact that Darius Leonard is coming back. But I'm sticking with
Yeah.
Detroit for now. Okay, next up we got the Las Vegas Raiders, jackpot party, and the Cleveland Browns.
So I hate this game.
I know,
I
man. You've
actually,
been you've been high on the Raiders all year, which I love Gruden, but yeah, this one's got to be tough for you.
I just hate this game. Um, but the more I looked at it, Baker has been consistent week to week to week. The Raiders have been consistent week to week to week. By consistent, I mean the Raiders have been allowing 30 plus points a game,
Yeah, they're
week to
one
week to
sided.
week. I think how as unfortunate as it is that Odell Beckham tore his ACL, I think that actually makes this team better.
It
And
could,
I'm
it
going
could,
with
yeah.
Cleveland
I
in the game.
I got you. Yeah, I've got Cleveland to win it. Minus the beatdown by the Bucks. I do like what both of these teams have going on. I just think Cleveland is a little bit better. I think the one factor that could maybe have me second guess this is that the Raiders' offensive line is so good, and really Cleveland, and I probably got to go do a little bit more homework here, but they really only have Myles Garrett on that defensive line that's been a solid, good factor for them. And so if the Raiders could figure out how to shut him down, they could do whatever they want offensively. But I still like Cleveland, and so I'm sticking with them. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans at Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you like, man?
So Everything about this game tells me to pick Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Tennessee Titans in their last 20 games against sub 500 teams, they are 1-19.
And how many of those though are recent memory this year and last year? Do you know that, or because I guess that's what I would look at. I mean, you've got Vrabel in basically a whole new squad since last year.
Right. And no, I know, but I believe.
Yeah, I'm sure at least a few of them are of these last year and a half. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and that's at the time they played the sub 500 teams. I think the one win is Houston.
Okay. Oh man. All right, but so are you going Cincinnati, or are you just saying your gut is telling you that, but you're going Tennessee?
My gut is telling me that, but I'm going Tennessee.
I got you. I just, man, I'm going Tennessee. I don't think I said it earlier, but Tennessee is like one of my favorite teams this year, and I'm a huge Vrabel fan. I like Vrabel as much as I like John Gruden, and I'm not going against them. Plus, I like Derrick Henry. I love those power runners. Tannehill's a great story. I'm going Tennessee, man. Okay, next up we got New England at Buffalo.
Okay, this game was actually hard to pick for me because everything tells me that until basically when it comes to the Patriots, until you see the body, assume they're not dead.
Yeah,
They've lost their last what 3 games. Buffalo never beats New England.
yeah. I think Sean McDermott is 0 for 6 against the Patriots.
Buffalo has lost their last 7 against New England.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of those were McDermott, but I know they've lost 7 in a row against New England. I, I
Okay.
keep I keep talking. My model says Buffalo. I'm going to stick with my model, but I could see New England sneaking this one out. But I'm going to pick Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo, and I think if Buffalo wins, stick a fork in New England. This year is done. They're looking to 2021, and it's crazy to say that, but my model gives Buffalo the edge. My model actually gives Buffalo the edge by like a pretty good margin, but Buffalo has not played like I thought they would these last couple of games, and so I don't know. Maybe there's like some more adjustments I got to make in my model. Time will tell. But I'm going with Buffalo. Next up, we got the Chargers at the Broncos.
I really like what the Chargers are doing. I really don't like what I see from the Broncos. I'm going with the Chargers.
I will just say ditto. Exactly the same thing. Next up, we got San Francisco at Seattle.
This is going to be a spectacular game.
I hope so.
The one thing that Seattle's defense does somewhat decently is stop the run. But could that be because teams aren't trying to run on them because they can pass like no other on them?
Could be.
I just my model says Seattle, but my eyes tell me San Francisco, so I'm going with my eyes on this one with San Francisco. I think this is the only one we have different this week so far.
Yeah, unless we make some changes going in. Well, you picked Baltimore earlier now, so we do have
Yeah,
two.
we
But
got
yeah,
two.
yeah, this was the only one before you pulled the old switcheroo on me. Um, yeah, so I've got Seattle, and you know I'm nervous after that Cardinals game. I don't know what's going on with the Seahawks, but I'm sticking with them. My model is giving them the edge. If something changes going into the weekend, I'll let you know. But I like Seattle in this one. Next up, we got New Orleans at Chicago. And man,
Oh,
I don't know. It's like you hate both these teams.
yeah,
So
really.
what's this? Are you calling a tie? No.
No,
Oh,
I'm
now
not.
you're thinking about it, aren't you?
No, I'm not calling a tie. Chicago's offense is very unimaginative.
Yeah.
New Orleans' offense is too imaginative. If that could happen, I do. I hate both these teams. I'm probably not going to watch this game because I want both these teams to lose. But when you sit down and look at it, ultimately you have when you're as close as these two teams are in my model, you have to go with the better coach and the better quarterback. And as old as he may be, Drew Brees is still better than Nicky Foles. Peyton
Nicky
is
Foles.
way better than Nagy.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm New Orleans.
Yeah, hey, I'm going New Orleans. Yeah, it sucks. Like you said, the Saints, they've been underwhelming to say the least. But with that being said, I don't trust the Bears at all, at least on offense. And so I'm going with the Saints. It's weird that Mike Thomas isn't playing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, next up we got Dallas at Philly.
Who's starting at quarterback is it me that's starting
Ben
at quarterback for
DiNucci.
Dallas? Or are you starting at quarterback for Dallas?
I would
Uh,
love to if they would give me the game check. I would go out there and let somebody cream me for one play. Give me the
is
concussion, and I'd be like, okay, I got to play in the NFL.
is Zeke's head in the game?
Yeah, Zeke, man, what is going on with Zeke, man?
I don't
That's
know.
that's a tangent, but I get it. We talked about it a week or two ago. They don't have an offensive line anymore because everybody's injured. But still, Zeke, you're supposed to be that elite of a runner that you don't
Exactly.
need that great of an offensive line to at least be better than average. And he looks freaking horrible, man.
So I've for 3 years I've been saying that Zeke makes Dak. Was I wrong? Does Dak make Zeke?
Maybe it's evolved. I don't know. I don't know that you were wrong. I think that it just changed.
So ultimately, like I said, Philadelphia is probably the I can barely say it, the best team in this division.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Philly. And there's going to be some fans there, so that's a terrible environment for Ben DiNucci.
I don't know, man.
They they couldn't.
Philly fans are brutal. Like if their team gets down at all, they'll be eating Carson Wentz alive, man.
Well, yeah, but it's Dallas. Is Dallas going to score a touchdown? Heck, Philadelphia's defense might outscore the Cowboys in this game.
That's an interesting thought, but
The offensive line in Dallas is somehow worse than the offensive line that the Giants have.
yeah,
And
and
like
you know what? Philly's defensive line is actually pretty damn good. So yeah,
exact
if it's Ben
exactly
DiNucci, good luck to you.
in the Giants game, Giants Philadelphia game, Danny loose change as I'm calling him now, not Danny Dimes, had where two plays where he could pass the ball without pressure.
The whole
Two,
game?
the
Yeah.
whole game.
Yeah. Uh,
So what's gonna? I mean, is Dallas gonna like end up with Zeke at quarterback by the end of this game? Are they gonna put Gallup there? Like, I mean, what the hell are they gonna do when their quarterbacks are fumbling the ball 75 times?
they need to go back and get my guy Cooper Rush from Central Michigan, man. You know?
Yeah,
No,
it's going to be a downright ass whooping by Philadelphia.
it should be. I mean, if somehow Philly loses, I'll just straight up freak the fuck out, man. I mean, that would just solidify it that everybody's trying to lose in this division if Philly
Yeah,
lost this game. But yeah, no, I'm going with Philly. They should win this one. I don't see any reason why they would lose. But okay, all right, going to Monday night, we got Tampa Bay at the New York Giants.
my question for this game is as well as Tampa Bay's defense is playing, should the Giants bench Danny loose change for this game because he's just going to be slaughtered so much and put in the backup and because there's no chance the Giants have of even being in this game. The Giants might be lucky to score a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, I don't even know who their backup is, but I mean, if you're the Giants and you're saying like what you're saying, James, I think you just have to run the shit out of the ball. And even if it leads to a lot of 3-and-outs, you hope that as the game goes on, you wear the defense out, and then maybe Danny loose change can make a couple plays. But I don't think the Giants have a chance in this game. I don't think anybody's expecting them to have a chance in this game.
Well, here's the thing with running the ball. Freeman's questionable for this game.
Yeah, but they got other guys. You'll find a running back.
Wayne Gallman?
I mean, find one of your healthy offensive linemen and make him your fullback and just fullback dive all game long.
And by the way,
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Their backup quarterback is Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I mean, who's more expendable? Colt McCoy?
Yeah.
Give him the start.
Well, I don't know. If the Giants lose enough games this year and the Jets win enough, they could be in the Trevor contest.
Yeah, I think they're committed to Daniel Jones. I think that this year they realize their offensive line is that bad. Saquon Barkley gone. That changes the dynamic of the offense. I don't think that they're going to move away from Daniel Jones unless next year ends up being a bad year for him. But no, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it can only go so bad before you have to think about it. Like Drew Lock. I mean, he's given us all the reason in the world to be like, what the fuck, man? This isn't high school football. You can't be fucking around like that. You got to get your head in the game.
Right, but with all likelihood, Gettleman's not going to make it to this next draft. The new GM won't be tied to Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he might want his own guy. I got you. That's a possibility. So let me ask you, man. Let me ask you. Do you think that there's a chance that Jason Garrett becomes the head coach of the Giants because of just how shitty Joe Judge has been with this team so far?
I don't think so because of the fact that if you sit down and look at the roster that Joe Judge was given and the injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, you draft Andrew Thomas as opposed to God, I just lost his name. The guy with the Jets drafted.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton or whatever his name is.
Yeah. I mean, you
Mount Becton.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much wrong with this team that I don't see them firing Judge.
Okay. I think they should, but I don't know. I've seen enough and read enough about him that I just don't like him anymore, but that's fine.
I'm not saying that I like him, but I think what saves him is the roster he was given.
Yeah. It was a tough team to take on. All right, so let's go to next Thursday. We got Green Bay at San Francisco. Who do you like in that game?
Man, this game's a hard game to pick. I like what I'm seeing in San Francisco, but then again, if you look at Green Bay and how Rodgers is playing and how that team is playing, I really wish that team went out and this week made some trades because it's a tough game. And my model has it really close.
Okay.
So, I'm going to go with San Francisco.
Okay. So I'm going with the Packers. I agree. I think that this could be a close game. I know that going into this game, there's going to be a huge ordeal about how the 49ers passed on Rodgers 57 years ago and took Alex Smith. You know, you would have thought that 5 years ago we would have been past that, but we're not. It's stupid. It's going to come up, and that's fine. I think that these are, you know, San Francisco is a wildly different team than they were way back when. And Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers today, totally different team as well. Oh, hey, you're finally back.
Fucking technology.
Hey, it's fine. We're still rolling. But yeah, I'm hoping it's a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm giving the edge to Green Bay for now. We got a ways to go. Hopefully Aaron Jones is back and some things like that, and then maybe my model firms up and we'll confirm it, as we go into the next one. Okay, so that's all of our picks for the week. Let's get to our next segment, which is our question of the week. Also a newer segment. This one we've been completely blanked on, but I get it. We've been rolling an hour and a half plus each week, so people aren't watching by now, but that's fine. So I originally had a different question for this week, but I had to change it because I saw today that Michael Thomas has been ruled out again for this weekend. And it just makes me wonder, do you think that there is something going on in the background where maybe the Saints are thinking about getting rid of him? It's purely speculation, James. It just seems strange that he's not played since week 1.
Before you asked this question, when we were talking about the Saints, and I was going to leave this for my closing thoughts, but you astutely picked up on the fact that I was going to say there's something wrong with the team and Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're looking to. I had not heard that he was out this week, but what I'm seeing, he got in a fight.
Yep.
With a guy, which got him suspended. I think there's something going on there, and part of it might be the fact that Drew Brees can't throw the ball more than 15 yards, and part of it might be the fact that I don't know, like he's a wide receiver. Wide receivers are ultimately divas.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, James. Going back to that week he got suspended, basically, by the team, he was supposed to come back and play that week. And then every week since, they've been saying, yep, he'll be back. And the Friday before the game, they've been ruling him out with some other injury. And, maybe he legitimately got hurt in practice. I don't know. It just, to me, seems like they're saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to play you because we're taking calls and it might come down to the wire, but we don't want you to really get hurt because we're going to try and trade your ass. Something just seems like he's fallen out of favor and they're thinking about making a move. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it. I'm overthinking it. But at least somebody else, like you're telling me, somebody else has the same kind of thought going on.
So the thing with it, though, is if you were to trade him, you had to trade him this week, not next week. Because after this weekend, the trade value for him will go down because you'll have that one less week without him. Because with the COVID protocols, before he can join the team, he has to have the 5 days with negative tests. So he still has to go back through. He has to go through the it's a separate protocol, which, like, to sign a guy, it's like a week. With the guy that's been in the league, it's like 5 days. So if they trade him by the trade deadline, which is Tuesday, then, like, say they trade him on Tuesday, he wouldn't play in week 9. He wouldn't be able to play till week 10 for his new team.
I think if you're the Saints and you've got some kind of disconnect that you can't get past, and maybe a team says, hey, we're going to give you a first round pick and more. I think you say whatever. That's your problem if he doesn't play for you next week. If you want him that bad, come and get him. You know, and if another team says we're only going to give you a second round pick because we don't get him next week, I think the Saints would be like, "Are you fucking crazy? It's Michael Thomas. You know, give me what you can give me, which is going to be a lot of fucking picks or a super high pick, and you'll get him whenever you get him, and then and then you'll figure out what to do with the guy." I don't know. There's something going on, man. There is something funky going on with this situation.
So, so the one thing is I just clicked on ESPN and look. Adam Schefter had an article on the 24th, which was Saturday, saying that he was in jeopardy of missing week 8.
Oh, all right. Well, I still think there's something fishy here.
I think there's something fishy here. I agree, but
I think
I don't.
Schefter's being
It's,
paid to keep it quiet. Oh no, he was going to be out anyhow. But no,
well,
hey, if
it's,
he's
it's
if
not as
he's
bad as at least Schefter could on Saturday. At least Schefter could post articles. Rappaport was it Rappaport that was
yeah
suspended by
yeah he got
NFL
suspended. Yeah
NFL
yeah
Network for his
uh,
manscaping comment?
yeah yeah. He plugged another company. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you can't be doing that. All right. Well, here. Anyhow, so for anybody still watching, let us know your thoughts. If you think there's something going on here or not, hit us up. Let us know. Maybe I'm crazy to think that. It just seems kind of strange that this guy hasn't played since week 1. All right, James, any other closing thoughts from your end?
Oh wow!
That sounds like a
I just
yes.
clicked an article, and the Saints are without 3 of their top 4 wide receivers this week.
What?
Marquez Callaway is ruled out. Thomas is out, and Emmanuel Sanders is still on the COVID-19 list.
It's okay. It's okay. Alvin Kamara will tear him up anyhow.
Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris,
And Jared Cook at tight end.
yeah, and they might get Austin Carr, Jawan Johnson, or Tommy Lee Lewis from the practice squad. Oh my gosh! Sorry, I just uh, I,
It's making you
I
think. That changes the matchup. I get it.
I hate this team even more.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with them. I just can't trust the
Yeah,
Chicago Bears. Um,
exactly. I can't trust the Bears, but it just because you sent me down the Thomas rabbit hole, I had to come
yeah,
up with this
yeah.
article. So
Okay, so final thoughts.
final thoughts.
Minnesota
If
loses. Do they fire Zimmer? They'll be what at 1-5, 1-6.
man, I don't know. I like we keep throwing that around, and they're playing terribly, and this defense is playing terribly. But they get Dalvin Cook back. Maybe they show some progress.
Okay, okay.
Like it's just, but the team is terrible, and it sucks because I really like Cousins,
Yeah.
but I don't think they fire Zimmer. I think the next coach that might be fired, I'm going to change it this week. I'm going to go with Vic Fangio.
Ooh. Yeah, I could see that happening. Um, I like
Yeah,
Fangio, but I think I like him better as a defensive coordinator. I don't really think he's been given a fair shake in Denver. I don't
no,
know.
I agree, but if you look at Denver, they're starting to regress.
Yeah,
And yeah, there's been injuries, but they've had a lot of these injuries the entire year,
yeah,
but they're
yeah,
still regressing, and they're not showing progress forward. They're taking steps back. Drew Lock is regressing. Drew Lock at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year, looked like a franchise quarterback,
yeah. All right,
and I think
so
he might get the blame for that.
all right, so here we're going into the trade deadline. do you think any team makes a move for a quarterback? I know we've talked in the past about Indy going after Tyrod Taylor. Now that Tua's starting, teams may be going after Fitz. Do you see anything like that happening?
I'm going to say no. Not, and I
Not
think
for a
it's
quarterback.
not for a quarterback. And I think it solely goes down to when that player could play for the team,
Hmm.
when that player could enter the facility. And because of the protocols that the NFL has in effect, they would have a lame duck week with their current quarterback. So I'm going to say a quarterback's not going to be traded for.
Gotcha.
I, I think Will Fuller is definitely going to be traded. They might get 2 boxes of golf balls instead of one, but
Yeah.
um, and I but I don't think there's going to be any other splashy deals. I think this past week, unless it happens like tomorrow,
Hmm.
I'd say Saturday be the last. Like if you get a splash deal, it's going to be Saturday. After Saturday, I would say it's not likely.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, man, let's wrap it up. I think that's pretty good for tonight.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, anybody still watching? Thanks for checking us out. Like we've been saying, we'd love you to hit us up with some comments. Let us know how we're doing. And hey, the first person to name that stadium gets that special shout out for next week. I know somebody's out there, somebody wants to do it. I mean, geez, man, we've been breaking 20, 30 views with some of these shows, man. I mean, that's like rock star status, James. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, hey, that's all I got. James, it was fun. I'll hit you up in a little bit, man.
All right. Sounds good.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.